So almost 11 years ago, I was driving across the country in a camper from Florida to California. And I kept looking at all these RV parks and I'm like, hey, it's just renting parking spots. This has got to be easy. It is not renting parking spots. There's so much more to it. You're running this full-fledged business. But by the time I got to California, I had been Google searching RV parks for sale and how to buy an RV park. And I found one in bankruptcy that was owned by the bank in the town, near the town that I lived in. And I contacted the bank and said, hey, I want to buy this property. And they're like, well, how much money do you have? I was 26 and it's like, I don't have any money. And so this was after the market had collapsed and banks had things on their books that they needed to get rid of, that they were essentially trying to operate themselves. So they gave me a loan for non-recourse with no money down for $3.2 million. And I had to figure out how to run an RV park.
So curious, at that point, had you purchased like a home or anything before, or was this like your first real estate?
I had a house. Yeah, I had my personal residency. I didn't even know I had bought real estate at that point. You know, I knew nothing about real estate or real estate investing or RV parks or any of that at that time. So yes, I was totally blind and in the dark.
So how did all that come about though? Like, did you just like wake up one day and have a vision of you dreaming? It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be buying RV parks. Like, how did that like?
I might be mildly impulsive. And so I think there's something to be said with, I'm sure you talk to beginner investors all the time and they have all this knowledge and they know more sometimes than you and I do. And you're like, dude, why haven't you bought anything yet? Like, just get started. What are you waiting for? And so there's something to be said about just jumping in because a lot of it is stuff that you can't be taught, you know, mistakes that you have to learn yourself. You're not going to listen to somebody else. And there's something to be said for just jumping in and getting started. I never imagined that RV parks and mobile home parks would be my thing. But I love it. It's lots of fun.
So once they gave you like, okay, well, here you go. Here's a loan for a RV park for $3 million, $3.2 million. Then what? Then you like, thank you. Like what like how do you go about like figuring that out? Like,
so day one at closing, I remember it because it was April 1st and I brought my mother to closing with me. I don't know if it was supposed to be support or what. And she's like, is this April Fool's? Like, what are you doing? And kind of like a construction loan, they gave me 6 months of interest only to kind of get it figured out. And even interest only on that big of a loan is huge. And there's utilities and all these bills. And I got the first utility bill. And, you know, owning a home, I had been used to, you know, my $200 electric bill. And this one was like $12,000 for electricity. And so there's some pretty big OMG, what am I going to do moments when you first get started with that. And so the first 6 months I slept in the office floor trying to figure out how to run an RV park.
So when you bought the RV park, did it come with like its own office or anything? It had a certain amount of spaces. Did it have its own like staff at all? Like, did it have anything?
Yeah, so there's an office, 2 pools, a fishing pond, and 2 bathhouses. There were 100 sites and they had 100 people living there with mailboxes outside and refrigerators outside. They were paying $300 a month and that included their site and all their utilities. Basically, they were losing money on them being there. And the staff kind of had a staff. There was an old lady who was in her 80s and she sat in the office all day and like took people's money. She was like almost like a house mom, if you think of like a fraternity or sorority house. A super nice old lady that was just making sure everybody was paying, and that was about it.
Nice.
That had to be a weird experience, like day one, like showing up like, hey guys, they just gave me this RV park and so now what?
Now what?
I know, I can remember one of the tenants coming in throwing this huge fit and he's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm like, dude, the bank owns it. That's as broke as it gets. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, that's good. So how many slots were there?
So when I bought that one, it had 100 sites. Since then, I've added 21 cabins and 15